Talking to ladies and women across the country, really. People we know that inspire us and are on a journey to finding their sweet spot.
The sweet spot.
Watching peanuts dribble.
All right. Hey, Sarah. How's it going?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Oh, it's just really choppy.
Oh, no. Is that better?
Nope. Let me try and put my headphones in. See if that helps.
Okay. Well, welcome to the sweet spot, everybody. It's good to see you. Go ahead and let us know if you can hear us okay. Go ahead and go in the comments and make sure you can hear us. Because I can hear you, Sarah, just fine.
Uh-oh. It still sounds like robotic.
Sounds robotic. Okay. I'm gonna turn off my video. Do you wanna just start talking a little bit? I'm gonna move spots real quick. So why don't you just, you know what I could do? I could play our video again. Or you could just keep talking. How was your week? Tell me about how your week was. All right. Sarah, can you hear me? All right, can you hear me, Sarah? Sarah?
I get like little words, little bits of words coming in. So I think I'll hang up and call back in.
Well, I'm just wondering if so Makieda said that she can hear us just fine. And then it looks like Anne's already on. I see them in the green room. We're having technical difficulties. Hold on one second.
Talking to ladies and women across the country, really, people we know that inspire us, and we're on a journey to finding their sweet spot.
The sweet spot.
Watching peanuts dribble.
Okay. I think we're back now. Are we good?
Yay, I can hear you.
Okay, I changed locations too, so I'm hoping we're good. Okay. So, how was your week, Sarah?
Oh, it was long. I'll be really honest. It was long and kind of hard. It was just exhausting in a lot of different ways, emotionally, and
Oh no.
yeah. So I had a grandfather pass away earlier in the week that I hadn't seen in a long time, and didn't get a chance to go down there and see him or anything. So it's just been kind of weighing on my heart all week.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens, right? It's just part of the natural cycle of life. And
Exactly.
so I'm grateful for the weekend to just have some time to decompress a little bit and process. And I don't think they're going to do a service or anything. So I think maybe I'll just do something here to honor him. And
Yep. That'll be nice.
yeah.
Are you gonna get out and get in nature and
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The weather's been so beautiful here.
I know. It's so I've heard like it's been like the sunniest December we've had in a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
We deserve it. We absolutely earned it.
absolutely. This has been we just had a crazy year, so we need it. I need to put some more light on myself.
Yeah.
Better.
What about you? I missed you last week. How was your?
I know, yeah. We just stayed home, just like most people did. I think I've heard of people getting together and having some issues, but we stayed home together, and um my dad likes to cook, so he made everything, and then he was like, "Come pick up food." So I
Oh,
picked like four side dishes,
nice.
a nice chill think, I don't want to
Yeah.
call it Thanksgiving, but it's a
Yeah.
good day for gathering and just kind of chilling out. It was nice.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Food. Food is my. If there was like a sixth love language, it would be food for me.
right?
Someone who makes me food, you're in. You're like
Oh,
in my heart
seriously.
forever.
Yeah, makes me, yeah. It was nice. I actually was talking to someone at work yesterday. We were talking about like um, just some good food they had for, last Thursday. And someone said that they went over to a friend's house. They were all like vegan, and they had just like the most amazing food. And I was like, oh, that would have been fun to go over there. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
mashed potatoes with like, and I know some people don't like tofu, but I like tofu, like cornbreaded tofu, which I've
Oh.
never had that before.
Yeah.
And then like roasted Brussels sprouts, and I don't know. Anyway, it just sounded so good. I had some of that, but not all of it.
Yes, I made a butternut squash risotto,
Oh, yeah.
and it was. I'm trying to think. Well, except for the cheese, it would have been vegan because the
Yes.
risotto is a grain, and then the butternut squash, and I think I used vegetable stock.
Right.
an onion and you just
Right.
some sage.
You're all together. Yeah.
It was so yummy. It's it tastes like a comfort food because the risotto is like pasta.
So warm, exactly.
So
yeah.
warm, and the sage.
Yes.
Really
I think
earthy.
I ate like food for like 4 days. My dad makes like a traditional like soul food Thanksgiving meal. So we had like collard greens and candy yams and cornbread stuffing and gravy. And I just kept eating it like every day. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll have that for lunch. Oh, I guess I'll have that for dinner.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, I think that's the way it's supposed to be. It's just kind of
It
celebrate.
is.
Yeah, family and food.
Yes,
and
exactly. Forget the real. Yeah, that's what I'm calling it. I'm like, I can't say Thanksgiving anymore. That's bull crap, but whatever.
Yeah, well, and
So,
it's ironic, I think, this year, like the idea of celebrating Thanksgiving. I mean, the original,
right.
The massacre of indigenous people,
yes.
like in the middle of a pandemic. How do we celebrate?
Right.
People all around us are dying of COVID, and
exactly.
Yeah, so some irony, I think.
Absolutely, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, let's get our guests out. We've got Makieda, Hart here, and Anne, and they both are women entrepreneurs. And as you probably all hear us, Sarah and I say all the time, we selfishly have this show so we can get inspired by people and find out how they found their sweet spot. And so last week we had 2 entrepreneurs on. So this week we're going to have 2 more on, and just and they're both local to Olympia, Washington. And so we're just excited to meet them and hear their story. As we've said before, Sarah and I don't do a lot of show prep because we're busy.
Yeah.
So we're going to be like finding out more about them as you all do. So let's go ahead and bring them on into the room. Use them wrong. There's Makieda. There we go. Hello, ladies. How's it going?
Good.
Hey, how are you doing?
We're good. Good to see you both. Is there a little bit of echo or something?
Little something.
Okay. So let's go ahead and just have you both introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about just briefly about like what you do for your job. What do you do and what kind of businesses are you running?
After you.
Makieda, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Makieda Hart, and I own Sergeant Harts Barbecue Sauce here in Olympia, Washington. It's a owned, veteran-owned, woman-led barbecue sauce that we make in Olympia, Washington, or in Berkeley County. And basically, I go all over trying to let people know of our brand. We have apparel, as you can see, and also it's with kitchen and grill tools and just a whole bunch of really nice things for the person that loves to cook in your family. It doesn't have to always be grilling, it can always be cooking. So I come from a background of administrative, and now I do this and I love it.
That's so cool. I'm hearing some fabulous background. Does everyone hear that noise too?
Yeah.
So if I don't know if either one of you have your phone on the Facebook Live also, because that might be giving some feedback, possibly.
Okay. I think I have mine on.
Okay, that helps.
Okay.
There we go. Yay. So, Makieda, what year did you guys start your business?
Oh, so we started business June of 2018.
Okay.
And I turned the line off. We started business June of 2018, and we've been going strong ever since then, just kind of building up month by month. We're on Amazon, and we also have our normal website that we make sales through as well. So
awesome. All right, Anne, how about you? Can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. I'm still hearing a lot of background.
I know. You know, Sarah, it went away when you went away. So I don't know if there's something there. That stopped. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep talking. So Anne, do you want to tell us a little bit about Lark and what you do?
So I opened Lark in Olympia in the middle of the pandemic.
Right.
That was my plan. I had a store in Seattle for 22 years, and I closed that at the end of December in 2019, and I moved to Olympia, and I opened up. Is there any way I can help this for the feedback? Are you
Did
hearing?
you say?
I'm echoing a lot.
You are echoing.
Is there something I can do?
Well, usually it's because
I hear you.
No, I hear something echoing. I don't know. I don't have my phone's not on. I'm going to turn down my speaker because I wonder if that's it.
Oh, I'll do the same.
I wonder if that'll help a little bit just with the feedback. I might even. Okay, that's a little bit better. Is that better for you?
Let's see. Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I turned myself down a little bit. So you had a store in Seattle. What was the name of that? What was that store
The name
called?
of that store was Endless Knot. And previous to having that store, I had a clothing line that I designed and manufactured in Southeast Asia, also called Endless Knot. So I opened the store in Seattle, and then I stopped doing my clothing line about 10, 11 years ago. And then I moved down to Olympia at the end of 2000. Well, I actually moved here in March, but I signed my lease in December. I started doing all my build out on my store in January. And then we were supposed to open in April, but that didn't happen.
Right.
And we finally made it open in June. So that's that story.
There you go. Yeah. Do either of you feel like you've kind of found your sweet spot in regards to your business?
Oh,
And
yeah.
if so, like, what does that look like?
Lark, why don't you go first?
Can you tell me what you think a sweet spot is? Does that mean like I'm
Yeah.
just doing fine and it's just floating along, or
It's kind of like that. Yeah, the sweet spot's definitely personal, right? So it's where
Yeah.
you feel like you kind of hit a groove and like things are going pretty well, and you're performing, you're doing well, things are going well. Do you feel like you hit a sweet spot yet, like over the last 9 months?
You know, I have to answer that two ways. I in my life and in myself, yes. In my business, in Lark in 2020, no.
Not yet. No.
Way to go for that to be, for me to feel like I'm just like, I'm just rolling along and everything's great, because it's, it's not. That's just what's going on in our
Exactly.
in our world. We are struggling to stay afloat, and I have every intention of staying afloat. That's my plan, and I'm not going anywhere, and I couldn't, because I don't have, this is my lifelong career basically. But, yeah, we've got a ways to go there.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
How about you, Makieda? Do you feel like you've hit a sweet spot with your business or with your personal life?
Yeah, I'm thinking in personal life, I think we're kind of there, I think in personal and in business, I think we're kind of in a groove where we're kind of getting there. And just when you think things are, gonna hit a stop, something else happens, and, you've got a little bit more wiggle room. So, it's the daily up and down of the life of an entrepreneur, I think. COVID has made me pivot a lot more and be appreciative that I have the ability to pivot. I've been kind of looking at either doing a storefront, getting a business vehicle, but I know it scares me.
Yeah, Anne's like, don't do it. Don't.
Do it.
Too much overhead, right?
Bring your product into my store and I'll carry it for you.
There you
Right.
go.
I'm gonna have to network with you and get your information. So my biggest thing, because I was looking at, because right now I'm doing the Centralia outlets. They have like a little market going on in there. It's a bunch of farmers. It's actually an extension of a farmer's market in Centralia, but inside of the old dress barn. And so the outlets actually have, and I was considering doing something very similar to the farmers market, but making it consignable so that people can actually bring their item into the suite. But what scares me about it is just being kind of stuck into one place and not continuing to grow my brand outside of the South Sound, because I want to be able to touch a lot more people. So that's the only thing about it. And I was like, if I could find somebody to go in with me, I could do, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, if they could do Sunday, Monday, Tuesdays, and it still would allow me to go out and do other things and lead people to that location. But yeah, it kind of scares me. So I've got to build up a little bit more. But as far as what's going on in my business and marketing it and the things that I carry, I think I've definitely hit my stride with that. And the feedback that I get from my clients is very positive. I had somebody come back today that I met last weekend, and he was like, "Oh my God, the shirt that I bought is so soft, and the sauce that I bought." So it's nice to hear those things. I hear it all the time, but I'm like, okay, it's still that iffy, what's going to happen, especially with COVID. So you have to really get very innovative.
Right, exactly. So Anne, go ahead, Anne.
Oh, I was just wondering if you are wholesaling.
Yes, I do. Yes, I wholesale and I consign.
Because you might consider, I know you're talking about growing it, and I wondered if you've considered having a sales representative for the product.
Yeah, so like a distributor.
Yeah, well, someone who,
or almost like franchise.
Someone that goes out to different locations and sells it.
Yeah, or someone who.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, there was a lot of trade shows, and there were a lot of sales representatives who had food products that they would sell. It sounds like it might be a good product for something like that, but I don't know now because the trade shows are not happening.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, and I even had
on your own
that I was going to do. What was that? Am I doing it on my own? Yeah, I'm doing it pretty much on my own. I was going to do a trade show in April in Portland, but of course it got canceled and postponed to 2021. So now I'm looking at doing it in 2021 with the hopes of picking up a distributor, and that person could hopefully get me into some stores so that I can be available for people, and just to get up and go to the store and have it there. Following me around from event to event and all of that stuff. So,
right. So, Anne, tell us a little bit about your background, and so I know you had said that you were in Seattle for 20 years, and then you also were a fashion designer in Thailand. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I was in college, I left college to go travel in Southeast Asia, and this is in the mid 80s.
Okay.
And I started, I just really like to travel. I started buying things that I found there and bringing it back to, at that time, to New York, where I'm from. And I was selling it on the streets in Manhattan. And so this is sort of the long story short. I started selling it to stores these just things that I would buy. And then a sales representative saw what I had and asked if he could represent me. And I said, sure, not really knowing what that meant. So at that time, I kept mostly spending my time in Asia, and I'd come back to the States just to sell stuff and make a little money. And I would then the sales representatives and the shops that I was selling to asked for the newest lines that I had. And so that sort of pushed me into deciding that I could just design stuff. And so I started just designing things. It was basically that simple. I had no background in anything.
Oh, wow.
But I started first by modifying what I saw there. And this was, by this time I was in Indonesia. And I took what I saw in terms of, they had the batik fabrics, and I modified them first just by saying, oh, well, could we make this a different color? And then could we just make this a little bit different shape? And then from there, I just started doing print design. And that was kind of, I'm not a stylist and I don't know how to sew, but I did figure out myself how to design fabric. So that's what I did.
Oh, cool.
And I did that until, like I said, about 10 years ago. So I designed my own fabrics. It got a little crazy at times. I would do 10 different lines a year.
Oh, wow.
Each line would have probably 6 colors in it and 3 coordinating prints. And I had sales representatives all over the country, and I was selling. But I didn't really know what I was doing. I was a terrible business person.
Okay.
But I was a terrible business person. I never really made any money. So I had, a reputation. I was not good at the business side of it, really, truly.
So what are your lessons learned? Like, if you could go back and do it over again, or what did you learn from that experience?
From that, I learned that it's probably a really good idea to have your finances in order before you take on thinking you can do what I had a crushing moment when I should have been excited when early on I received an order for it's like $100 and something thousand of something that was a handmade fabric sewn into a style of pants, and I had no ability to fulfill that order because I had no way to produce it. And everybody, this is in the early mid 80s, and it was an exciting time for the sales representative who thought this is a great order, and everybody was excited, and I was terrified because I couldn't do it. So that was probably a big thing I learned, is that before you go too far forward, you should think about if you have the ability to do it financially.
Right.
That said, I'm not learning that lesson myself very well because it's a good lesson, but it's not one that I have taken fully to heart because I generally jump into things and just go for it.
Right.
And then find a way to make it work. And that's where
Right.
I'm at now. So.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's okay.
But I also
Makieda,
another thing I learned that I have to say is that in the most significant thing I learned, and I knew, is that I cannot have a boss. I have to work for myself.
You gotta have. That's probably a lot. I bet a lot of entrepreneurs would say the same thing, that they don't like going to the office or they don't like reporting to somebody. They want to be in charge.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. So Makieda, what's coming up on the horizon for your business? What do you have planned for 2021? I know you talked about maybe doing something on the weekends or in some type of trade, but what else do you have going on?
Like I said, I have that big trade show in April. Hopefully it's still happening. It's called the Northwest Food Show. And I think the last email I saw was it'll either happen in April, and if not. Maybe they've got another date in the fall slotted, or I think that's the Olympia Master Builders. I don't even know anymore, but still hoping that some of those trade shows will go on. And I'm also hoping to get some more brand recognition, possibly even get a distributor, and just basically try and get out there as much as possible and find as many people to represent my product, so that there's more need and more awareness to be able to get into stores and actually have people purchase it. You know what I'm saying? Because in the stores, and then there's actually having it purchased and go off the shelves. Yeah.
Do you have, and this question would be for both of you, do you know, because I just know, like, when you're running a business, not that I've ever really run one, I think I've run a couple little small ones. Like, I used to sell candles when I lived in Los Angeles, but I was like, I would buy them and then I'd resell them. But you always, I think one of the questions that you always think about when you're developing a business plan or thinking about running a business is, who are your competitors? Do you know who, and this question is for both of you, do you know who your competitors are? Like, who's doing what you're doing?
Yes, I know who my local competitors are, of course, the big names. But my local competitors, I know because when people come up and try my sauce, remind me, of a, oh, did you change your packaging? Or, oh, I remember we bought it from you a couple of years ago at location, but this was the first time I'd ever been at that location.
Right.
So I know exactly. Yeah, and they look at the colors of what I use for my recognition. This is very typical for barbecue, black and maybe a red. It reminds them of that other brand that also has it, but their packaging is differently. So I know who some of my local competitors are in Washington State and in Oregon. So yeah, there's a lot of competition out there, but there's also a lot of, people to reach. So yeah.
Thank you. What about you, Anne? Do you have some local businesses that are kind of doing what you're doing in Olympia or surrounding area?
I think in Olympia, I'm doing something a little bit different than what's been done here. Yeah,
tell us about that.
Well, I'm doing the same thing I did in Seattle, but in Seattle there were more people similar to me. In Olympia, there aren't really a lot of women's clothing stores, so I'm trying to. Before I opened and before I planned all my product lines, although I was pretty committed to a lot of them because I'd already been with them in Seattle, I made sure not to be in competition with any of the other stores that are downtown. Yeah. So I checked in and spoken with the other shops in downtown, the other women's clothing stores, so that we made agreements around who would carry what lines. But I would say, mainly there's two competitors that I see, and one is just the general competition for people's money. When you're shopping downtown and you're limited in where you're going to shop. There's just always competition for the dollar in some level, some way. Yeah. And then the other competition that I think we're all facing, although it sounds like you've done a different thing with the barbecue sauce, but I feel Amazon is the great big competitor for all of us.
Right.
And so,
don't
get me started on my Amazon rant, basically.
Right.
But they are the behemoth that we all struggle with, I think.
Right, exactly.
Struggles with, unless we figure out how to use it to our advantage, which is difficult in my business. With clothing, it's definitely difficult.
I believe you can sell clothing on Amazon. They have Amazon handmade. You would be kind of a crafter that you could actually sell things on there. So it's a different avenue.
Yeah. No, they do sell clothes, but they have policies that make it very difficult for a small business, because a lot of the clothing that they sell, you can buy whatever you want and not pay for it even in advance, and they will ship it to you, and you can return it and
Got
then
it.
you pay for what you keep. You know,
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
have a new clothing policy, and that, you know, a small business, you know, in my shop, if I get 6 of something, that's it.
Mhm.
You know, I may have 2 in a medium and 2 in a large, and um, so if someone buys something and then they feel like they can just return it at whenever,
Yeah.
that's a hard thing to compete
Right.
with.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
So
So
Sarah has a really good question. She said, I often have heard business owners talk about the process of being lonely. What was that your experience? Do you feel like you've had a lot of support?
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really?
Oh yeah.
Oh. And so you feel lonely, but do you feel like you've had some support from friends
No,
and family or?
I would say I don't feel lonely at all in my.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I 100% in this to answer the support question. No, I don't feel lonely. I mean, I'm really lucky in the midst of COVID that I get to go to work and I talk to people during the day. I see people,
Hmm.
much to the chagrin of my husband. So
Right.
And that's my experience too. I mean, you know, in the beginning of doing this job, I felt lonely, but I also was doing a lot of networking and using that to my advantage as far as educating myself about the business while I was trying to think about how I wanted this to be and how I wanted it to how I saw it in the future and doing my business plan and all of those things, which my business plan is still kind of incomplete, but I know where I want to go in the very end and what I want it to look like. And, you know, be a go-getter and go ask those questions and find a mentor. That's always key.
Right. That's true. Do you both have mentors? That's a good point. No?
I,
Anne says no. Makieda, you do?
I have quite a few mentors.
Mhm.
One of my mentors is the individual who she sat down with me and we talked about how to be a food processor because I had never done that type of work before. I come from admin, and so I didn't know how to do that. So she sat with me. Her name is Deborah Kilcup, and she owns Isla's Foods. And she
Mhm.
sat down with me 4 hours. We sat down and chit chatted, and you know, she told me, you know, the different steps and how the mistakes that she made, was hoping that she would be able to help somebody else. And then another lady, Dewanda, she does like body butters. Body Butter is the name of her business. And even though we don't have the same industry, I could still take, she's a processor. So she's making the body butter, and she can also, you can use it on the lips. She also does bonnets and just a whole bunch of different things. And
Right.
so well, that would be another person that we can bounce information off of. My friend Talia, who owns Kombucha Yum, or excuse me, Kombucha Love. She's another person that I, you know, even though she's not necessarily a mentor, we mentor each other, but she's a business bestie that I can always bounce ideas off of. And if I hear of a show, I usually ask her if she's there. Same thing with Deborah. If I hear of a show, I'll ask her, hey, you know, have you heard of this show? You should sign up for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Kind of help each other out.
yeah, anybody who's in business can be your mentor. And even if you're not in the same industry, there's got to be some little part of it that you can at least extrapolate and be like, okay, how can I model this in my business? Even though this business is maybe clothing, what could I do to kind of emulate that with something that I have in my business? That it may not have anything to do with the clothes that I sell. It may have something to do with, you know, how I sell something. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's always smart to find someone that can kind of coach you and a thought partner to have, whether you're an entrepreneur or a businesswoman, you know, just trying to
Yeah.
move up in whatever business organization you work for. I think it's always smart to have someone that's already gone through some of this, that they can kind of guide you along the right way. Because I actually
Yeah.
have found someone to help me with, you know, just my career stuff also recently. So that's good. And you were
Yeah.
saying that you don't really have a mentor, or you probably have, I'm sure, a big network of friends though, but
yeah, I would say mentor. I have peers
Right.
for sure that I often communicate with about, you know, what's going on, what we're doing. In Seattle, there was a small women's business group that I was part of. It was a sort of Facebook group, but we would
Yeah.
talk about all sorts of things. And my sister actually is in the same business in Denver, and she's much younger than me. And I started her out, and now she's way beyond me. She now has 4 stores.
Oh my goodness.
So she's sort of a mentor in a way because she's really on it, and I'm.
What do you think her secret sauce was to being able to grow to 4 stores? She's just really ambitious, or
really, yeah, she's ambitious. She loves it. She's younger than me, so she came into it. I fell into it, and I'm really grateful for that. But she chose it, and
right.
so I think there's something different about that. And she can like live it full time. I don't know how, because she has 2 teenage kids and I don't have any kids, but she has just fully embraced it. She just thinks about it, lives it all the time.
Got it. Yeah, I hear you.
Great person for me to talk to because she's, you know, on the ball with a lot of stuff, and we get to see each other when we go to trade shows together. And
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. So Sarah has another question. Oh, would you say, Makieda?
You know, when you're doing something that you love, it doesn't always feel like work. Like, I'm sure you've seen me multiple times on Facebook at 3 and 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, and I may not have slept, but it's not because I'm stressing about something. It's because I've had some kind of idea and I've got to do the research until I find, you know, what I'm looking for, and I'm satisfied with it. And it may sometimes be an all-nighter, and I don't intend to stay up all night, but I've gotten that drive or that passion or whatever, and it just doesn't seem like work at that point till I need to go to the next day. Yeah.
So Sarah had another question. Makieda, she was asking, is there a story behind your recipe?
Oh yeah, there's a huge story. So it is a river and a stream of a bunch of different stories. But what happened was when we were stationed in Germany, we would always get together with some of our, you know, we didn't have any family over there, and we wanted to figure out a way to get to know some of the people that lived around us or that worked with us. So that, you know, if anything ever happened, we'd have trusted people that we knew. And so some people in my husband's unit decided to get together a couple of times a month and pull together their money and buy food. We were responsible for the meat because we lived closest to the meat market. And we would go to my husband's NCO's house and we would barbecue usually on Sundays, right before the beginning of the work week, to kind of boost morale and stuff too, and so that people wouldn't feel lonely. And so one Sunday, you know, he's grilling and he realizes he doesn't have enough barbecue sauce for all the meat that he had prepared. And so he panicked and decided down in the guy's house and pull some ingredients together. And he made the original barbecue sauce that we have on display now.
Cool.
And that's kind of how that started.
Wow, that's really,
yeah.
That's a great story. Now, and is this your full-time job now? Because I heard you say that before you kind of worked in like administrative work, but did you quit your job and this is what you do?
Yeah, I quit my job 2016, and I went into another field prior to this, trying to work for myself. It did not pan out very good, but in the midst of failing at that job, I started networking and kind of using that not only to kind of try and get clients for that line of business, but to kind of educate myself because I was very timid and didn't see myself as a business person. And literally would walk in the room of people and be like, oh my God, I feel like I'm walking in the principal's office because I don't feel like a business person. All these other people are huge business people that I've seen. And some of them were my friends outside of, you
Right.
know, so they shouldn't have intimidated me, but because I was in their realm, I felt very intimidated. And so I used networking as a way to kind of break through that and used it as education and learned from that. And then about a year later, I decided to not do the one business I was doing anymore and start transitioning into the barbecue sauce because I was like, I'm not a salesperson. I need something that's going to sell itself. And from that, I learned that I actually am a salesperson. And as long as I think about sales as sharing, then it became easier to share what I knew and the sales came.
Cool. I love it. So Anne, talk to us about fashion and what's in your store right now and what's kind of on the horizon you think that's, coming for 2021. Like, what have you ordered? What's in style?
That's a good question. Because everything that when I did a lot of my big buying in February.
Okay, wow. Before COVID, kind of, right?
Before COVID, I had to do a lot of buying for, for what normally is holiday season, but nobody's wearing holiday clothing right now.
Right.
So I had to sort of pivot as best I could. And now what we have a lot of is comfortable, cozy things to be at home in, to maybe work from home, and to still look professional, but really be comfortable. And so that's what we have going on. I have been very cautious about buying for the springtime because normally in about a week or two, I would start receiving early spring merchandise. And I don't have almost nothing on order right now.
Right. You're just kind of waiting it out.
Yeah, I think that, I'm really concerned about what's going to happen in the coming months. And I'm going to have to wing it when I have a few things on order that I'm not expecting to take in until March or April, actually. Although I can change gears if I have to.
Right.
And go out on a buying trip. But I am cautious about. I just heard that the color of the year next year is.
What is that?
Well, so there's all these forecasters who come up with things that are going to be the hits,
Right.
And who knows? I mean, it's an interesting thing because forecasters will say what the color of the year is well in advance. And then oftentimes manufacturers will start producing those things in those colors.
Right.
And then they will trickle over from Europe to the East Coast. And then maybe a year later, they kind of hit the West Coast.
Yeah.
I noticed it's funny because I remember like a couple of years ago, the color was some sort of corally pink. And you'd have all these people coming in the store saying, I don't know why. I never wear pink, but now I really love it. And a lot of that is because they've been sort of fed, this is the thing, it's around.
Right. I remember that because I don't wear pink either. And I started buying kind of like that mauve-y kind of pink.
Well, that was,
Yeah, I have like 5 things that color, which I didn't even wear in the spring because it was all like dressy stuff and I was working from home. Yeah. So what's the color that's coming up? What are they saying? I want to know.
Well, forget the name. Somebody told me the name today, but it actually basically is teal.
It's teal. Oh, I love teal.
I love teal too.
I love teal.
So
I wear it every now and again. I think I got like 1 or 2 things.
Oh, really? I love teal. Oh, I'm so happy. That makes me happy.
Well, cool too, so.
I love teal, so I always have teal in the store. But we'll see how it trickles into the consciousness of people love teal. In the Northwest, people like blues and greens a lot.
So Sarah had a question for you, and she said, any advice for people like me that feel fashion challenged? I never know what to wear.
Well, my advice, I'm not a super high fashion person. My advice is wear what makes you comfortable. Wear clothes that literally are comfortable. That will make you feel more comfortable. And come in and visit us in the store because we'd love to help you. One of the main things that we do in the store is make sure that people actually really like what they're getting. We will never encourage someone to buy something just because we want to sell something. We are very frequently telling people, yeah, maybe try something else,
Yeah.
So, I guess that I go for comfort. I go for things that feel flattering, like colors that make us look alive, yeah, I'd have to say that I'm not the, some people will say there's trends, there's all kinds of trends. You can be a, power clasher where you mix all kinds of patterns together and that can look great on some people. And some people like a monochromatic thing and that can look great on them. I go a lot for texture.
Right.
But anyway, Sarah, you should come on in. I'll help you.
I know it sounds like she's going to come in. So and remind us, Anne, again, what street your store is on again. Like, what are your cross streets?
Fifth Avenue Southwest between Capitol and what is that street? Columbia?
Yeah, I think it's Columbia, and it's right across the street from the bank too.
Across the street from the bank.
Yep.
I know that.
Yeah.
And and then I think you're right by Wayside. Isn't Wayside now right on the corner? And then you're just like
Wayside
right
is
there.
Across Capitol from us.
Yeah, exactly.
We're right next to we're sort of like in an Asian food little ghetto.
Yeah.
We have Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese.
There's like there's a bar on the corner too. You're kind of sandwiched between a couple things. So it's a good walking distance. Like you can park and kind of walk and kind of hit everything that's in that little
we are definitely downtown core.
Yes. So Makieda, how can we find your products? Where are you? I know you said you're typically in Centralia now. Is it a farmer's market where you're at?
Yeah. It's a holiday market that I'm in. It started last weekend. It's Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Last weekend was the first weekend, and we're going through Christmas, except for the Friday that's a Christmas. But that Saturday, Sunday after Christmas are the last two weekends. You can also find us in a couple of meat markets. So let's go down I-5 and beyond. So over in Grays Harbor County, you can find us at Grays Harbor Public Market. It's in Hoquiam. I found that one because I did Aberdeen Farmers Market this year on Sundays. And so I have bottles there. In Shelton, I'm at Ish P&W, which is downtown. It's right across the street from their major post office. Then in Chehalis, I'm at Jeremy's Fruit Stand, and I think they're a meat market now too. And you can find us in the condiment section, which is a refrigerated area. Then, of course, the Centralia outlets is where I'm at Friday, Saturday, Sunday through Christmas. And then in Rochester, I'm at Heritage Meats. They sell the barbecue sauce there. And then they also purchase the gallon-sized bottles, and they use that to make pepperoni sticks and beef jerky infused with the barbecue sauce. And they call it Sergeant Harts. So you can find that there, as well as the retail bottles. Downtown Olympia at Delmonico's, they sell the barbecue sauce. They're a brand new butchery, and they're amazing. They've got the meats, plus they sell the retail bottles. And in Yelm, at the Masonry, that's our flagship store. That's where we first started making our barbecue sauce in the kitchen back there when we became a business. Masonry Cafe and Catering in Yelm, they make the Sergeant Harts barbecue sauce burger. And they also sell retails as well.
Awesome. Thank you. So you'll have to send us your website or your Facebook page, and we can put that in the comments.
We'll do for sure.
This is a refrigerated product?
No, no, it's not refrigerated. Because I keep it on the shelves. I keep it in my car all year long, whether it's hot or cold.
Yeah.
And so when they put it in the refrigerator at Jeremy's, I was like, it doesn't have to be refrigerated. And they were like, oh, no, that's where we just try and keep all of our condiments together. So they keep it all in the
Oh, I
refrigerator.
see. Got it.
Yeah, so but it's shelf stable, so it can sit on the shelf however you prefer to keep your condiments or your ketchups is how that can be. So you can keep it on the shelf on your counter, or you can put it in the refrigerator.
Awesome. And so, Anne, do you have any specials that are going on for the month of December as we head into Christmas?
We will. We're planning on doing a flash sale. We will announce that through social media. We haven't picked the day, but that will be a deep discount sale. We just had a sale last weekend, and we are starting. This is an experiment, but we are starting a. My battery might die. We are starting a referral program.
Oh, what's that mean?
So yeah, let's find. I hope that we figure it out. We are going to be using our current email list to reach out to our customers and offer discounts that they can accrue greater discounts as they refer people to shop at our store, but predominantly on our website.
Okay.
So you will hear from us about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so nice talking to you. And Sarah, we miss you seeing your face, but thanks for all the questions in the chat. And it looks like we've got larklarkgoose.com and strongfamilybonds.com in the chat. So if anybody is watching this a little bit later, we usually get about, I don't know, last time we had about 300 views almost of our last show 2 weeks ago. So this is really good advertisement for you and supporting our local businesses. So again, thank you again for both of you for sharing your where your sweet spot is and how you're moving toward that. And we will see all of you next Friday.
Nice. Thanks for having me.
Everybody. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.